Now, I often speak with people about this scamdemic, satanic ritual the government has sent us through. The most horrific event this country has endured. And I am very sympathetic towards the ones that make the claim. I know the virus is real because I had somebody in my family, a father, a mother, an uncle, aunt, etc., that died from COVID. But even though you are sympathetic towards these people because someone in their family died, the fact of the matter is this. During the pandemic, everything was on lockdown. No one was permitted to enter convalescent homes, hospitals, or even the morgue. And because family members were not permitted to be at the bedside of their loved ones, not even to enter the hospitals, none of these people are not and cannot be 100% sure that their family member actually died from COVID. Not only was the government lying to us, the doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers were being threatened with the loss of their job if they spoke up on how a patient really died. This was especially true when the Biden mandates were in place before the Supreme Court struck them down. This was just the fact of the matter. And the fraternal and messianic Negroes were with the business, paid to keep up the charade of the pandemic. But of course, they would never admit none of this. And black folk, sad to say, fell for all their lies, hook, line, and sinker. But as the Lord has told us in his word, St. Mark, the fourth chapter and 22nd verse, for there is nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad. St. Matthew, the 10th chapter, verse 27 to 28, what I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. These two monsters, John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie, were all about the bag. In other words, they was all about the dollar. They had no interest in helping or healing people. And just to be sure that you clearly understand the evil of these men, they were a part of the 13 bloodline families who were firm believers in eugenics. So here is the history of American medicine in a nutshell. The two sanctioned methods of practicing medicine and healing were the homeopathic method and the allopathic method. As our next video clip will tell us, homeopathic healing was done through herbs and natural cures, but the allopathic method was the barbaric way of practicing medicine. of which people would see a homeopathic physician first before even considering a allopathic doctor. Now, John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie destroyed homeopathic medical practice for the love of money.
This tale of two snakes is the story of how medicine in the United States and eventually the world was subverted into a commerce business enterprise with the central goal of creating and maintaining illness throughout the population for profit. The unholy trinity of corporate allopathic medicine, which is our mainstream medical system today, utilizing synthetic big pharma drugs, surgery, and radiation, drains the body's corpuscles through medical treatment strategies based on suppressing symptoms through synthetic drugs instead of targeting the cause of disease and removing it. What causes disease or cellular dis-ease? Toxic industrial environments, toxic foods, over-acidic diets, polluted air and water, prolonged states of mental stress and emotional distress, lack of sleep, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, electrosmog, heavy metal poisoning, vaccines, and even prescription drugs.
And with that, we're going to go into that medical establishment. Where does this all come from? So this is talking about the Rockefeller medical establishment and the Flexner Report, understanding the medical training and why hospitals are the new death ovens of the pandemic Holocaust. In the early 1800s, society sanctioned two approaches to healing: allopathic and homeopathic. Allopathic was barbaric, aggressive practices like bloodletting to drain out bad humors, huge doses of toxic minerals like mercury and lead to displace the disease, and surgery before there was anesthesia and infection control. Homeopathic used herbs and natural ingredients to assist the body in healing itself.
Now, since most people were afraid of being murdered by allopathic doctors, the homeopathic doctors made all the money. The allopathic doctors formed the American Medical Association, AMA, in order to try to take out their competition of homeopathic doctors. At the turn of the century, new highly profitable medical treatments were discovered: anesthesia for surgery, radiation therapy, and patented pharmaceuticals. This caused the fortunes of the elite families, the Carnegie, Morgan, and Rockefeller, to invest in the AMA and transform medicine into a profitable industry, creating the first hospital system.
It was all based on profit. Ironically, Rockefeller himself only used a homeopathic doctor while he was investing in allopathic medicine. So that brings us to the Flexner Report. In 1910, the Flexner Report was published. Backed by tremendous fortune and profit, the Flexner Report changed the educational standards and licensing requirements to exclude naturopathic knowledge. Soon, only AMA licensed doctors could legally practice medicine. All naturopathic doctors were put out of business. All the knowledge of natural healing was banned from being taught in medical schools. Within only 20 years, the AMA began to dominate medical practice. They started making a list of homeopathic doctors to slander and smear, which quickly grew to 300,000 names. The Fitzgerald Report to Congress named at least a dozen other treatments to heal cancer that was put forward by naturopathic doctors. They were all blocked by organized medicine, panels of surgeons, and radiation therapists. Can we now understand why they're banning vitamin D and why they're banning different forms and treatments for sickness? It all goes back to the origins of this medical industry, and they used the Flexner Report to do it. And we just wanted to highlight, this is why you're seeing what's happening in hospitals.
Yeah, so with that backdrop, you have the COVID hospital protocols, pay to murder. Now, Dr. Peter St-Pierre from the American Frontline Doctors mentions in the video, the CARES Act provides bonus payments to hospitals when you have a COVID diagnosis. And the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Service is waiving patient rights in the process. In his video, he goes through a 7-step process to describe how hospitals get the bonus payment. One, when they give you a free COVID test, and then another when you have the positive COVID test result, another when they admit you with COVID diagnosis, another when they put you on remdesivir, another when they put you on a ventilator, and then another if your death certificate states you died of COVID, and then another bonus payment to the coroners. And so when you calculate all of that based on this research, it's up to $100,000 per patient.
Situation is this: if you have COVID and you end up in the hospital, you're put on a rigid protocol, and there's high mortality rate in the hospital, and your family is kept in the dark as to what's happening. So what's going on here? Number one, the CARES Act is providing bonus payments to hospitals whenever you have a diagnosis of COVID. And then number two, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services is waiving patient rights. This is a deadly combination. So here's what happens. You get a payment because you offer a free COVID test in the emergency room. You get a boost payment if you have a diagnosis of COVID. Number three, you get another bonus payment if you are admitted with COVID. Number four, you get another bonus payment if you're put on remdesivir. Number five, another bonus payment if you're put on a mechanical ventilator. Number six, another 20% bonus if the diagnosis on your death certificate says COVID, even though you may not have died from COVID. And then number seven, there's bonus payments to coroners. Do you understand the gravity of what's happening right now? The Biden administration is literally paying hospitals to kill you. That's what's happening. This is terrible. We need to stop that. These are real human lives we're talking about. They're priceless. It's estimated at about $100,000 per patient is what the hospital's getting. Think about that. Ladies and gentlemen, the real news of right now continues on the next front.
Now, if you do not understand the sheer evil and horror of this depopulation agenda, even though this pandemic, for all intents and purposes, has been declared over, if you do not understand this depopulation agenda that has been put in place, you are either complicit or just plain ignorant or stupid. This is the evidence, and we have placed it right in your face.